Greetings, everyone, from my home. School started today, and I certainly pray God's blessings to each of you as you adjust to this new online format. I pray that God would give each of you patience, both professors and students, as you figure out how to handle this new online format. Patience is an interesting thing, isn't it? Someone once told me, don't pray for patience or God might actually give it to you. And here we are in a situation where we don't have any choice but to be patient. And I would imagine that for some of you, your patience is starting to wear thin. But even as your patience wears thin, life just keeps on going. You just have to keep on being patient. Imagine how patient God has had to be. Can you think of times in the Bible where it seemed that God's patience wore thin? I think of the flood, the situation with the golden calf, the Babylonian and the Assyrian exiles, where it seemed that God had just completely lost his patience because of the people, how they had rejected him, how they had rejected his word, how they had turned to these horrible and horrific idols and this idol worship that was just awful and against everything that God had commanded them and encouraged them to be. But with each time that God had seemingly lost his patience, can you think of how God's faithful people reminded him of his promises? Think of Moses pleading on behalf of his people. Lord, remember who you are. Lord, remember what you did for us at the Red Sea. Lord, remember the promise that you made to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob. Think of Isaiah's prophecies of hope to an exiled people. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. Throughout all of the times that it seemed that God lost his patience, God remained faithful to his promise. In our reading for today, we see Jesus, and the words that Jesus speaks here makes it seem like he had lost his patience. Listen to what Jesus says in Matthew chapter 23, verses 37 to 39. Jesus says, "O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you who kill the prophets and stone those sent to you, how often I have longed to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you were not willing. Look, your house is left to you desolate. For I tell you, you will not see me again until you say, 'Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord.'" So, what should Jesus do when he's facing a people that had rejected him? A people that he had reached out to time and again on his own, but also through the prophets for generation after generation. They continued to reject God. What should Jesus do in a situation like this? Here's what he did. He stepped forward. He stepped forward to Calvary. He stepped forward to death for you and for me. He stepped forward to fulfill the promise of grace that he had made to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, and to you and me. The promise of grace for us, that life is ours forever. So even as Jesus seemed to lose his patience, no, he stepped forward for you. He stepped forward for me. Over the next week and a half or so, or 2 weeks leading up to Easter, our chapel devotions will be focusing on the passion words of Jesus. We'll see Jesus step forward to suffer and die on our behalf. So as we do that, please continue to follow us. Click on the link in the email. Follow us on social media. When everything around us wants to drive our eyes away from the cross of Christ, we look forward to focusing your eyes on the cross, on our hope, our comfort, our life. God's blessings to you this day.